right, good morning. We are up here in northern Japan in March, and if you follow or know anything about Japanese holidays or festivals or traditions, you know that March is Hinamatsuri. That is the doll festival, the girls' day. It has a very cool tradition, and as you can see behind me, the Japanese side of my family, my wife has a very extensive doll collection, and we're going to look at that today in some detail. Talk about the tradition of the doll festival, the Girls' Day in Japan. It's an incredible event, and it has a pretty cool history as well. Not as deep as some of the other Japanese traditions that are very Shinto based. This one has a little bit of the good luck and stuff in it, but it actually has a much sweeter tradition that we're going to talk about here in a minute. So if you look behind me there, you can see that there are several doll sets. There's actually 4 doll sets, and we're going to talk about those and look at those in some detail. I did not know a whole lot about Hinamatsuri Doll Festival until I started doing some of the research, and I have absolutely enjoyed the research and looking into this and seeing what this is all about. Not only are the dolls themselves just insanely detailed, insanely intricate, as well as beautiful, absolutely stunningly beautiful. But there's a very long and somewhat storied tradition. I think you'll appreciate it. I think you'll find it sweet, and I do hope you appreciate the detailed look at these dolls. You'll see them all over the place in Japan here in March. You're technically supposed to take them down after March 3rd if you want to be 100% traditional, but these things, as you'll see here in a minute, takes an enormous amount of time to set up, which means it takes a lot of time to take down. And so people leave them up a little longer than tradition dictates they should, just to get a little bit more life and legs out of them. So I hope you enjoy this. I certainly enjoyed doing the research on this, and let's go ahead and get to it. Okay. Again, we are here in northern Japan. This is in our own house. This is a kominka, an old Japanese farmhouse, and we have set up our own Hina doll display. Now, this set is actually 4 different sets. We have this, dark purple, black themed set. We have the 7-tiered step, the hinadan 7-tiered step set. This gold set over here to the right, absolutely beautiful. And then we have a little bit older, just the pair of Empress and Empress on the top here, and that's just right up here on the top, and that's a little bit older. The first thing I want to talk about a little bit is that these are not cheap, and that's not a flex or a brag. There's no way that we could have justified purchasing all of these sets and all of the elaborate accessories ourselves, and that's common in Japan. Okay, parents of young children usually are not overly affluent yet, and so these dolls, when you see them, especially in private ownership, owned by a family and put out by a family, they are put together with a lot of help, usually from the grandparents. Okay, the grandparents, they're established in life. They have some disposable income. And so these come as gifts for when the daughters are born. And it is traditional that a daughter is given her own Hina doll set before her first Hinamatsuri. Okay, that's March 3rd. Okay, so when you have a daughter, if you have an association with a Japanese family, my wife's Japanese, these doll sets will come as a gift, or at least substantial help towards getting a gift. Okay, and that is definitely the case with us. And I definitely want to start this out with an extreme appreciation to my wife's family for providing these sets. Also some help from one of our dear friends. I don't say help. I mean, it was a gift. So if you want to blink a couple times, go online, find out how much these full sets cost, and you'll realize what I'm saying. These are not cheap sets. People generally don't go out and buy them on their own for their own daughter. Okay, these will come as gifts or handed down from your Japanese family. Okay. One of the things that I discovered very early on in researching for this video and researching the Hina dolls is the history behind it. Now, a lot of the Japanese festivals, the Matsuris, have a very strong Shinto base. It came from a some sort of Shinto meaning. And so when I started getting into these Hina dolls, I expected to find a great deal of meaning behind all of these little accessories. We have mandarin orange trees, we have sakura, peach trees, we have these hishimochi rice cakes. That's the triangular, the diamond-shaped cakes that you see on the left and right. You have I think they're called byobu, the screens in the back, the lanterns. And there's so much detail, very Japanese, like lots and lots of very intricate detail. And so I expected to find a big treatise, a bunch of material on the meaning of all of this stuff. I expected it. I expected it to have a very strong Shinto shadow over it, if you will. And what I found was, and this is just me talking, I haven't actually read anything about this. This is me as a gaijin, foreigner, exploring Japanese culture. And what I found is that Hinamatsuri doesn't have a very deep level of meaning. In some respects, I found that it's been the Western side that has added more meaning than was actually really intended here. And I'll explain what I'm talking about. Let's start with the top here. These are what we call, what is called the Emperor and Empress. Okay, but they are not originally the Emperor and Empress. It was the Emperor and Empress, but the meaning was not meant to convey the Emperor and Empress sitting in a family's home. Okay, what I found is that the Emperor of Japan back in like 1630, 1629, I think, Emperor Go-Mizuno, forgive my pronunciation, had to abdicate from the throne. Okay, he's out, and somebody had to take his place. Well, the person who was supposed to take his place was his daughter. I believe her name was Meisho. Okay, and she was a young lady. Now, back in those days, and still to this day, there's a tradition. I mean, if you're, and I don't know, when I say to this day, I'm not entirely sure. Again, I'm not an expert, but back in the day, if you were a female empress, you did not get married. So that was the tradition. You did not get married. And so the lady here, I believe it's the Mebina, okay, actually, let me get to that in a sec. So the mother of Meisho, was denied her daughter's wedding. Now her daughter was the daughter of the emperor. And so I am sure that Meisho and her mother had incredible plans for her daughter's wedding. Okay, and all of those got taken from her when the father had to step down and Meisho suddenly became the empress. So all of that, expectation was gone. Now I'm sure they're excited about Meisho being the emperor. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'd say, not necessarily a curse. Okay, but all of that stuff was taken away. So Meisho's mother started the tradition of these Hina dolls. And this whole set here is actually meant to represent a wedding ceremony. Okay, this is the wedding ceremony of little Empress Meisho if she had not been empress. Her mother put this together, and I'm projecting a little bit, but put this together as a wish for what could have been. Okay, so when you're looking at these Hina doll displays, there might be just a tinge of sadness in there because this was the old wish of Meisho's mother for a happy and certainly extravagant marriage for little Empress Meisho. So she put this doll set, or started the tradition of these doll sets, and because the emperor was the religious heart of Japan, it quickly got picked up by the population and became a tradition of making these elaborate Hina doll sets. And so that gives a hint about what these are for. These are not a heavily Shinto-based tradition. It is simply a wish. And yes, there is an overlay of Shinto, maybe a Shinto to it, absorb bad luck and good luck and all that good stuff. But basically, it is the wish of a parent for their daughter to have a happy life. And in the context of, ancient Japan, Heian era Japan, that involved an elaborate, beautiful wedding. Okay, so the Hinamatsuri display is actually a wedding ceremony. And yes, the top, the Mebina and Obina, is the emperor and the empress, but the focus is on the empress and the desire for having a happy and long and certainly wealthy marriage. Okay, it is simply that, and that's what the girls' day is. Okay, and that actually explains a little bit why there's also the tradition that if you don't put this away quickly after Hinamatsuri, after March 3rd, that there's a bit of a superstition that your daughter won't get married for a while. Be married late. And that's kind of passed away now. And these things are so elaborate and so it takes so much time to put together that people leave them up a little bit longer, to kind of get more bang for the buck. Okay, but when you look at these, don't look at them as bringing in the emperor and empress into somebody's house. You have to look at it as it is simply the heartfelt wish of a parent, originally the mother, for her daughter to have a beautiful, happy wedding that in real life she would never get to have because she's now the Empress of Japan. Okay. I'm going to talk through a little bit of the different levels here and everything. And when I go to edit this video, I'm going to put in the Japanese names. But I'm not super good, and I don't want to be just reading off a paper with names. So I'll add these in as little pop-ups. Okay, but let me walk through the basics here. Okay, again, you heard me call them Mebina and Obina. The Obina is the male doll, typically thought of as the empress or the lord. The prince, if you will, the bridegroom. Okay, I think that's called Tomo or something. I have it on a paper back here. I'm not gonna look it up. I'll put it on the pop-up. Okay, so that's the lord. Okay, and then the princess Hime is over here, and that is we think of it as the empress representing the empress, but don't think of it as representing the empress. Think of it as representing the bride that is, and the parents' wish of the bride's wedding. Okay, you'll always see them in front of these very, very beautiful gilded screens. Again, I'll put the pop-up for the Japanese names like Byobu or something like that. Okay, and you'll see that all of these, even this little bit smaller set, okay, this is a purple screen with some gold gilding in the back. Absolutely stunningly beautiful. This is definitely my favorite screen here. And then over here, this has a gold one, okay, with some sakura blossoms, peach blossoms and stuff in the back. A little bit of shoji. Again, forgive my pronunciations, but that's the lattice work on the screens. This house actually has a little bit of it. I'll show you here. There's a little bit of modern shogi right here. Got some in other parts of the house. I might do a walkthrough someday. Okay, but that is very much a part of every Hina doll display. And by the way, Hinamatsuri means Hina festival, right? Doll festival. Okay, so the actual doll display itself is called a Hina kazari. Hina kazari. So this whole set is a Hina kazari. Okay. So, if you want to impress your Japanese friends, you can say Hina kazari instead of Hina doll display. So this Hina kazari, okay, you've got your lanterns to each side, and these are actually kind of cool. I didn't turn them on, but they actually have a plug-in back here. Let's see if I can sneak back here and plug it in for you. So it's got, got a little just enough electricity to show the lights. Come back over here. There you go. So they actually plug in, turn on, kind of cool. Okay, and then it has the this blossom display, very traditional, including there we go, including the knotwork. The knotwork actually has some very strong traditions in Japan for that beautiful, beautiful knotwork. A couple things I want to point out here. Okay, and I'll show it. Actually, this shows it a little bit. But I'm going to come down here to the purple display down here. Just like back in the, 50s, 60s, and 70s when you showed your wealth by having big broadcloth suits, okay? These kimono layers, let's see how close I can get in here. there are 13 layers of kimono, even on this doll. Okay, that's not just a fake layers there. That's actually a layer. That's another kimono. Okay, I think it's 13. Maybe it's 17. I'll have to recount it. But the old Japanese Heian era, they would display their wealth by wearing just layers upon layers upon layers of very expensive silk kimonos. You'll see this over here as well. And that's primarily on the female kimonos. The male kimonos did not display that as much, but they'd have just these, over 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I'll have to look that up. If you have the wrong number, it's bad luck. But and so these dolls show that. They show those, 13, 17 layers of kimonos. I can't even imagine how hot that was. Japan is not a cold place in the summer, and having this many layers would just be absolutely intrusive. Okay, you'll see that the Mebina is always holding a fan, and the prince over here, the Obina, is holding a baton, a ruling baton. Okay, that's the first layer. The second layer down here is our attendants, the lady attendants. And what they are holding is, this is a short-handled sake decanter cup. Okay. And then the one over here on the right, or the bride's left, if you will, holding a long-handled cup, and that's for serving sake. Okay, the lady in the middle is kneeling, and this is a little table. And again, I'll put the actual Japanese names in the video. Cut that in. You'll see it here. Probably you're looking at it right now, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. But she's holding this little serving table. Okay, and there would be traditionally a sake cup on that. And so these are the serving ladies for the bride and the bridegroom, the emperor and the empress. And you'll see a little bit of variation in this layer between the Kansai, the Kyoto area, Hinakazaris. I'm gonna look that up real quick. Make sure I'm pronouncing that right, because I'm gonna use that word a couple times. Hinakazari. There we go. I have a paper behind me that I'm cheat sheeting off of. So whether these two are standing and the one in the middle is sitting, or if there's one standing in the middle or two in the sitting, that the seating arrangement is regionally specific. Okay, down in Kyoto, in the Kansai area, they'll have a different seating arrangement. This is the traditional Kanto seating arrangement. Okay, and so we have them arranged in that manner. We might arrange them differently, but for right now they're arranged like that. Okay, the next level is the musicians. These are the court musicians. We have a flute, a flautist, okay, a shibuya, shibue. There we go, shibue, Japanese bamboo flute. Okay, you know what? I completely screwed that up. That is actually a taiko drum, and that's a drumstick. We'll get to the flautist on the other side of the deal. Sorry about that. So this gentleman here is playing a taiko drum, seated on the floor. Then we have another drummist. Actually, I have two more drummists, both of them standing. Okay, holding little taiko drums. Okay. Then we have our flautist playing a Japanese shibue. I'll have to look that up. I don't know how to pronounce that one. Shibue, flute. Okay, and then finally we have the singer. Okay, and he or she, you can see both in various doll displays, and frankly, it's kind of hard to tell which one this might be. But this is the singer, okay? And these are the court musicians, okay? And they'll play for the wedding ceremony. All right, the fourth tier down will be either the guards or the ministers, okay? Now, what's interesting about these two gentlemen, you'll notice that one is old and one is young, okay? The older gentleman will always be on the wedding stage on the left side. Okay, the left side is the senior position, so that'll be the older guard. Now, we call it a guard or a minister because they're often portrayed, and in this case certainly is, with bow and arrows. They are the guards. However, because there's a younger and an older, we know that these are the ministers. Ministers of the right, ministers of the left. And the left side in Japanese tradition is the more senior, the more honored position. So that's why you see the older gentleman sitting here. And on this tier, you also have the hishimochi. That's the diamond-shaped mochi cakes. These little dish displays. And so you'll always see this on the 4th level. And so definitely look for that. And they are the guards, the armed guards. That's ceremonial, of course. Okay. Finally, on the 5th layer, and this is actually kind of interesting because what these 3 gentlemen represent is, and I'll try to zoom in on their faces here for you, but they represent the drinkers. Okay, and yes, drinking. Okay, this gentleman here is the angry drunk. Okay, when he drinks, he gets angry, and you see the facial expression is angry. Okay, a little harder to display in a doll, but this is the sad drinker. When he drinks, he gets sad, and he's a crying drinker. Okay, and this jolly fellow over to the right, stage left, is the happy drinker. Okay, so these 3 guys, they are to represent the drinking and the festivities that are going along at these wedding ceremonies. And so you got the angry drunk, you got the sad drunk, and you got the happy drunk. Okay. What's also interesting about this 5th layer is you'll always see the mandarin orange tree over here on the left, stage right, looking out. Okay, and then you have the sakura blossom tree over here on the right, and that is an old tradition for these wedding ceremonies and these hina kazaris. Finally, the 6th and 7th. The 6th and 7th tiers are the material possessions that you would see at a Heian era aristocrat wedding. Okay, the 6th level here, is all the inside the house. Okay, this chest over here is actually super special. That is where that silk kimono, or rather the 15 or 17 silk kimonos, are stored. That's the wedding kimono storage chests. Okay, you have the 5-drawered tansu. Okay, basically just a chest of drawers. You have a mirror set and a vanity. Okay, Japanese style vanity. Okay. By the way, all these little doors and stuff definitely work. You can tell my wife is not watching me film this because I'm actually handling it. If she'd get very nervous, my clumsy gaijin hands manipulating these intricate little things. Okay, and the fact that you're watching this video means I didn't break anything, because otherwise I'd destroy the evidence. Okay, finally you have another little vanity set, no mirror, but a little traditional chest of drawers there, and then a little cooking. Now a little cooking kitchen set here, kind of cool. This is actually more of a Kyoto thing as far as having the cooking set. The Tokyo area, the Kanto area usually doesn't have this, but occasionally you can see it, as you do here. Finally, the 7th tier is all the traveling. Okay, for when the wedding couple goes on their honeymoon or traveling about the country. You have your ox cart here. Again, super beautiful. Just the intricacy is just amazing here. I want to re-add again how grateful I am to my wife's side of the family for passing this stuff down to us. This stuff will go to my daughters as they grow older, and I hope they appreciate it. Here's another chest. You have people on both sides would be carrying it. Okay, and then this basically a traveling lunchbox. That's where you put some food, tie it all up, and you can carry it along. All right. Now these smaller sets, another thing I want to point out. I'm going to take a zoom in on the bride up here on this large Hina Kazawari set. Okay, a lot of accessories, a lot of detail, beautiful. But let me zoom in on something here. Okay, if you zoom in on here, if you count the layers, and again, the doll is like like in real life. That is an actual layer of silk. You count what? 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 layers of silk there. Okay. And if you come down here to this smaller set, let's say this gold set here, and you come down here, and I already showed you that, but you see, how many layers do you see there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I think maybe 13 is what I counted before. Okay, so why the difference? The difference is that these large sets with all the accessories, okay, that can get very expensive. So these larger sets, if you look close, there'll often be slight differences in quality and intricate detail like that, because these larger sets are a slightly lower quality because they're so large that they're still very, very expensive. But to keep them at least slightly within affordability, each individual doll is slightly less detailed, if you will. Okay, but you get to these single sets where it just shows the bride and groom, the emperor and empress. And then instead of the money going into all the fancy little accessories, all the money goes directly into the doll. And you can see that in even in the detail and the amount of care taken with making the facial features. Okay, each of these sets are roughly the same price. So these smaller sets are actually quite a bit more expensive, or quite a bit more elaborate in the details than the bigger set, because the cost went into a smaller amount. By the way, just for my own personal, I love this kimono. I love the crane motif, that gold bird, the Japanese crane. That is my own personal favorite. You see this on both the Mebina and the Hina doll. Okay, this is the gold stitched crane. Absolutely love it. My own personal favorite. So I hope you enjoyed this video, a much closer look at the details of these hinakazawari, these Hina doll displays. I enjoyed the researching this immensely. Okay, again, it was somewhat surprising to me that there wasn't quite as much of the Shinto religious tradition represented in this Hina doll display. It really is simply a mother's wistful wish for being able to give a wedding to her daughter who would never get to have one. Okay, and the history of that family is amazing, and there's a lot of people who study Japan who are really into the Tokugawa family and their history and stuff. And this is part of that. It was the Emperor Tokugawa, as he abdicated and his daughter had to take over, and you can look into that because it's an absolutely fascinating history. Part of that history is that little Meisho, got to be empress, but lost her chance for a wedding. And the Hinamatsuri, the doll festival, is an echo of her mother's wish for being able to give a wedding to her daughter. And I found that to be very, very sweet in a way that I didn't expect. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe so I can continue to bring more of the Japanese culture to YouTube here. And if I said anything incorrect, if I pronounced something wrong, which I'm sure I did, if I got a detail wrong, I highly encourage you to put a comment in. I am learning. I've gotten further than some, but certainly have a long ways to go. So if you have a clarification or a correction, it is more than welcome in the comment section. And I am not a sad drinker. I am not an angry drinker. I am a happy drinker. So if you make a correction, I'll take a drink of sake, smile, and say thank you very much. Again, have a great day, and I'll see you next time.